This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Colley.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
Nuggets Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Just Nuggets Podcast. I'm K. Colley on the microphone. We have Christoph Yalik. How you doing today?
Yeah, Mr. Yalik in the building. How you doing?
Hey, and this is Just Janet.
I was going to say, Just Janet, how you doing?
Good. Welcome back, everybody.
Doing well. So I think we just jump right into it today and talk a little bit about the Houston Rockets game.
Sure.
So the Nuggets won that game. We scored 133 to 112. Joker, highlight of it. He's the sixth person in NBA history to hit 100 triple doubles.
Wow, good for him. Good, congratulations, Joker.
And then on that game, he was 14, 10, and 11. We had a big game from Jamal, who had 32, 6, and 4. Followed by a lot of people had good games. You had KCP with 14, 6, and 1, 15 and 3 from Bruce Brown, and then Michael Porter had 17 and 4. It was a good game. I mean, Houston obviously is a struggling basketball team right here. They have some good talent. They have some good players, though. I will say they're not a good team, but they have some players that could potentially either move and get you better, get more of a NBA talent kind of guy. I mean, like a high superstar maybe, or just picks or something. But they have some players that I thought played pretty well. Like Knicks play well.
I think the best thing I could say about the Houston Rockets is that they're an NBA team.
Well,
tell us how you really feel.
We've been there
on this Friday.
Well, we'll get into it. They allowed 71 on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Joker, that one play, every time I just think of that game was just Joker he misses the free throw or misses the layup, then boxes out the dude, misses it, gets it back, misses it, grabs it, and it puts it in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of indicative of the Houston Rockets as they stand currently.
But we needed a game.
Mm-hmm.
It got us. Now our record is 44 and 19 losses. So 63 games in the books and 19 to go. So
let me say a point that I haven't heard anyone say outside of me. Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing that.
You're doing that?
I'm doing that.
Say what you got to say then.
Nikola Jokic is the first center in NBA history with 100 career triple-doubles.
Yeah. Congratulations. And while we're giving Joker a shout-out, he also is the back-to-back Western Conference Player of the Year.
Of
the month, rather.
Of the month, yeah.
He might as well. Actually, I could say he is the back-to-back Western Conference Player of the Year, because that's 2 in a row now.
Of the year, yeah.
But... Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's playing great basketball. And obviously, the Nuggets are
so far
playing great
of
basketball.
The year for sure.
Yeah,
and I just appreciate this Nuggets team. I think we've seen a lot of this team reminds me kind of that 2019, but like more experienced team.
Yes.
2019 we had the talent.
Yes.
This year we have the talent plus the experience and the hunger, which is really good to see.
Are you talking about the 2018-2019 team or the 2019-2020 team?
I'm talking
about the bubble team or the team
pre-bubble actually. I'm actually talking pre-bubble. That team was really because I think we were second in the West. I think we were only behind Warriors. I remember we played against the Warriors and they got us. That was kind of a measuring test. Mm-hmm. They got us right in the play right before the season ended. I remember Klay Thompson was doing that raise the roof dunk thing. Mm-hmm. It was obnoxious, but I think it showed us that hey, we need to compete with this team.
Right.
Yes. And that was before Klay got hurt. That was before
we had
Curry
all
got hurt.
All
shooters.
Those guys. Before we had all these 3-point shooters, we knew what we needed. The at least hold our own with a team like the Warriors, and I think we've done that. We've the GM, Calvin Booth, he's done a great job getting the pieces, and so Mike Malone can, steer this ship straight up to the top. That's where we're looking to go. So I'm sure we'll talk about that much later, but I think they're in good shape. Mm-hmm. Now tonight's game, if you want to go there, with the Grizzlies, we talked about the Houston. If you want to talk about something before Grizzlies, because we've seen them now within 10 days of each other.
Can I go back to a game in between the last Grizzlies game and the Houston game?
Sure.
Because I think we're missing a national spotlighting game that was very big. It was against the Clippers.
Oh, that
as we sit here on March 3rd, and looking back over the course of this last week, they got smoked in Memphis. Yeah. Memphis did exactly what they should do. They have a big game coming up against Memphis tonight.
Yeah.
But the Clippers, and I loved it. Oh, did I love that game. Not only did we get a 40-point triple-double, but my favorite part of the game was when PG, Paul George, does like a little travel, right? And then shoots the ball. Obviously, it's ball still in his hand as the clock expires, and it goes in. And everyone's like, oh, it's kind of stopped. And there's one person that came running off the Clippers bench, and it was Mr. Bones Highland, because he was so excited that he thought that they won, right? Yeah. And he was so excited throughout that game. Like I didn't realize that I would be this way, but they could beat us next game or whatever. But it was that first one. I just wanted to make sure that the Nuggets dubbed out.
Well, he did good. I mean, when he came out, Bones came out and he had 10 points and he had high energy and he hit his shots and but Jamal was on the court with them. Yeah. Jamal also made sure he did his Jamal thing. That's why we call him the Blue Mamba. And he had a fallback jumper and just hit a 3-pointer and it was it. Right in Bones' face.
And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. Like we are in the midst of potentially a third straight MVP season, but we're smack dab in the middle of his prime. And it's like if we don't, as Nuggets fans, appreciate just getting to witness what we watch every night from this man, Nikola Jokic, is nuts. Because in that game, he was 14 of 21 from the field. Obviously, he shot 15 free throws, made 12 of them. 17 rebounds, 10 assists, and 40 points. And then going back and forth with Kawhi Leonard down the stretch in the fourth.
That was fun.
It was a wonderful game. Yeah. And then I love how he got the 10th triple-double because it showed that he's more than just a liability on the defensive end. He puts his hand out there, steals, starts a transition, gets it up to Bruce Brown, and dunk. The house comes off. And they smoked him in overtime. What was it? It went on 14-4 run.
Yeah, I don't even think they had field goals.
No field goals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think.
But how many times have we seen that from Joker? Really?
A ton.
We could talk about it, and we're going to talk about some stuff later on. But when it's overtime, or when the going gets tough, or when he gets sick of just being out there playing because he's been out there a long time or something, and he takes it over. Mm-hmm. I just think that his ability to do what's right every time on the court. If it's a pass, it's a pass. If it's a jump shot, it's whatever he needs. If he has to take the ball and back somebody in because they're smaller than or whatever, he does it. But then there's those other situations where we need him to score and we need him to take the game over, and he's done that too. So I'm looking forward to all
lost in
that
game was Michael Porter Jr. He had an excellent game that day.
Yeah,
he was, and he's been playing so well for the last month and a half.
That got us ahead, or what?
Yeah, to get to in regulation.
No, I think it tied it at 120, 117, somewhere in there.
Get us to the point where we got
because obviously we'd be remiss. We just talked about the highlights. They got up early in that game.
Clippers.
The Nuggets. The Nuggets got
up.
They were up the entire game.
And
then the Clippers walked them down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I think that is something we need to spotlight looking at now that we're in March. Spotlight looking at for this month, they need to improve on that. The second unit's got to mesh or gel, as Coach Malone would say, and they can't let these leads slip. You gotta. I know we're playing good teams, but you got. I know it's a game of runs.
Yeah.
But you gotta have get up and stay up mentality. I guess the catch-22 there, or the other side of the coin is, playing in close games is only going to benefit you down the stretch.
So let me give you some context here. We were on a back-to-back. We had just played Grizzlies and lost big time. This was on that next day, Sunday. Yeah. Okay, so I get it that they lost the lead, but we were playing Kawhi Leonard, who's a newfound himself in the last 2 weeks player like he used to be, and then PG3 was playing a pretty darn good game too, and then so I guess they were good. This is the team that I'm sure we'll talk about this too. People are picking to beat us to get to the top. So one of the
and they haven't won since they got Russell Westbrook either. So
they've lost their last 4.
Yeah. But they're being mentioned. They're being mentioned along with, heaven forbid, others. And we'll talk about that in the next segment, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I would just say on the point with Chris, I do agree with you that you don't want to have a team that you want to, if you're going to be ahead, you want to stay ahead.
Yeah.
But I also think that the Clippers were never truly out of that game. Even if there's moments we be up like 10, I think the most we went up was like 16 or 17. But the Clippers would always hit a 3, hit a jumper, hit a nice shot. And I knew that at the end of that third period, when we brought that bench back in, they were going to make a little run. And that's when they did. And then from that point on, Kawhi Leonard was within. He was honestly, that was one of the best games I've seen from Kawhi Leonard this year.
It was.
Because he was making every shot. He took over the ball. And honestly, the only time they went back, after they took the lead against us, the only time they went back under was when they took the ball out of Leonard's hand. Like, I think Paul George hit the go-ahead bucket, and then somebody else took a shot. And they kind of let that ball get out of his hand, which we sometimes do as like now we have, Jamal Murray back, Michael Porter back, so they can hit a jumper. But it's always best when the ball's in, Joker's hands. At the end of a game. I think that's the same way with Kawhi Leonard. It's like, yeah, Russ can get a bucket. Yes, Paul George can get a bucket. All our guards can score the rock. But I do think during that moment, those clutch times, Kawhi's got to have that ball.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's exactly what happened. I mean, he was rolling. Him and Joker was rolling. It's back to back, point after point, each, just doing.
Oh yeah, I wanted to make a point on the Joker thing too. I love that Joker game. I love Joker the scorer the most. Don't get me wrong. I love his passing ability. It's amazing.
And he did it
all.
But
you do know when he's aggressively scoring. That allows him to get easy assists too. He still gets easy assists, but he also puts pressure on those teams that's like, okay, we just can't slack off Joker and let him go find an open man today. He's going to score because every time Joker got that ball, that game specifically, he was turning to the basket and pushing to the hoop, and it was because he had Batum on him. Like when he knows, like, oh, this is I need to go get my 40 today. Just go get it.
Let's get it. Yeah.
Just go get it. And that's what Shaq and Kenny were talking about last night. They said, when you're a really great basketball player and you see who's guarding you, you say, hey, I'm scoring today.
I'm better than
I'm going to let you guys sit back. It's my night. I'm going to give Batum 40 points. It's not Batum's a bad player. He's not. He's undersized.
And if it's not Batum, it's Mason Plumlee.
Yeah.
Who Jokic is very.
I mean, I know he's not no longer a Nugget, but he was a Nugget. He's playing his butt off.
He actually kept him in that game down the stretch. From a non-scoring, he was doing the little things that kept him in, the rebounds, the bats outs, and all those different things. To correction, you said, just want to say that the Nuggets were up 18 in that game. Cool little stat I just see, or just seeing, is that the Nuggets went 4-0 versus the Clippers this season.
Yeah, and actually,
so that's a little season sweep.
I know his name is Bobby, but he's one of the Nuggets reporters too. Or he out there, he talks on Twitter a lot. He said the Nuggets are 17-2 since Paul Millsap and them got into it in the bubble.
Yeah,
against the Clippers, 17-2.
Yeah,
so that's also a cool stat.
Well,
okay, let's move on to tonight's game.
No, we can go tonight.
Yeah, so the Nuggets are welcoming the Grizzlies into Ball Arena. And that hurt me to say it. Ball Arena. Some things die. Old habits die hard. I was like, that didn't sound right. Ball Arena. And Ja will be wearing a mask tonight, as said. He's got some funny stuff going on with him. Him and 12-year-old kids and stuff. We're not going to talk about it, but it is kind of funny to hear some of those stories. Google it if you guys haven't. If you don't know what I'm talking about. Memphis is pretty good. Breaking news here. And the Nuggets need to win tonight if they want to solidify and leave up that first seed to no question.
And
you know what I mean?
You're a little hard on the Nuggets last Saturday. We're talking about the Memphis, and they didn't deliver. Remember you said they got to go get this one.
I also said I kind of hedged my bet on that. I said the Memphis needs to blow out the Nuggets, because they're going to be playing whoop that trick, and they're going to have all the energy. What they need to do is beat the Nuggets. But what the Nuggets need to do is go take their soul. That's what I said. Yeah. And they didn't do that. It was more like the Memphis energy just kind of got on them, and they're like, whatever, we'll see them next Friday.
I think the Nuggets weren't ready to play that game. They didn't look – the shots weren't falling, and it just wasn't a great basketball game.
I don't know if they weren't ready. I just think sometimes your shot does not fall. And unfortunately, it was the whole team. It wasn't just one or two people. It was like everybody. Nobody could shoot that night. And, it just it is what it is. And now tonight, probability of Michael Porter Jr. not being in it and Aaron Gordon. And what does that bode for us? We just have to step it up. Everybody has to just
play their part. We're at home, so we have to rely on our crowd and our energy tonight too.
Yes.
Yeah, speaking of home, let's go national now. So we've been talking a little bit home. I think hopefully we win tonight. But I think we have to talk about the Nuggets going into the national spotlight this week. We've had J.J. Redick make comments about us, Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, NBA TV maybe was the worst out of all of them, talking about how the Lakers are going to beat us in the first round.
And they're number one.
That was NBA Today. NBA Today. I don't want you to put no negativity on NBA TV because they're pretty down the middle.
I apologize.
And I want you to put the right, put the right group in the focus light because that video that you're referring to or that telecast when they did that is egregious. And whatever, go for it.
To set the stage, they are asking about the Lakers, right? Yeah. They're saying the Lakers, how good are they?
How good are they?
Who should they be scared of? Could they beat who in the West? Oh, and they said if the Lakers played, mind you, Tristan Thomas put 2 hands up.
Oh, please. And then spoke for another person, too. He had 3 votes to say that Nuggets wasn't going to beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
His vote, RJ's vote, and God knows whoever else's vote.
Now, it was LeBron getting hurt.
No, it was literally the day after. LeBron.
It was the day after.
The news hadn't broke
that he was going to be out.
That he was going to be out a couple weeks, yeah. So, but the thing is this. They're looking at at the time, I think they're 14th seed, Los Angeles Lakers, saying that they're going to move all the way up to 6. And if they don't make it to 6, they're going to get in the play-in and be 8. And they're going to, not only are they going to be 8, they're going to beat the Nuggets in the first round.
First of all, why do they always have to talk about them? They've been in the 13th spot for months, pretty much, or somewhere below play-in for a long time. So then LeBron gets his points, which we acknowledged and congratulated him on, his scoring title record. And so now they think if they all are healthy, I'm only saying this because if they're all ever healthy, well, when is that going to be? Yeah. Because now LeBron has a foot injury. AD has something happening to him always. And so what?
D'Lo's hurt too.
What universe is that going to be good? And then you're going to beat Denver the first round because it's going to be the first round because it's not. So it was just uncalled for. I'd say we had that all week.
Yeah, I'd say as a childhood Nuggets fan, if we did play the Lakers first round and we beat them, I'd be so happy.
Oh God!
Because you have to remember, we've seen them beat us when Kobe got us.
God.
I heard that we got beaten. Was it the night? Chris, you got your nice story.
Well, let's put it this way.
Magic Johnson, 85.
Let's put it this way. The Nuggets have played the Lakers 7 times in the playoffs. They have never beat the Lakers in the playoffs. Never. Not in a best of 5, not in a best of 7, not in the first round, not second round, not third round, not never. So, yeah, there's a piece of me that if the Nuggets, it's kind of like the Broncos 1990. I know I'm switching sports really fast. Like the Broncos 1997 first Super Bowl championship, where they beat a bunch of teams on their way that they had lost to previously.
Yeah.
And they've dubbed it the revenge tour.
Yes.
If the Nuggets have to play like the Lakers first round, then the Suns first round, then the Warriors third round.
I would love that.
Something like that.
I would love this.
And we could dub it the revenge tour.
Yes.
That'd be great. I would love that.
You know what? It may fall like that. Who knows? It's a Suns Warrior thing, and we have a lot more games to go. But we'll see where everybody lands. And at this point, whatever. Yeah, you got to beat the best, and we will.
I'll also give a shout out to JJ Redick because JJ Redick, he was the commentator for the Clippers and the Nuggets game. So he watched firsthand Joker put on that 40-point triple-double. He came on to ESPN a couple days later talking about, I don't get how, and this was Kendrick Perkins. He was last week he was talking about how Joker is stat patent.
Yeah.
And JJ Redick said, I just don't get how you could come up with that. Right. And I just loved what JJ was saying. You have to be real foolish to really think that the Nuggets really care about this MVP. But I mean, when I say Nuggets, Joker cares about the MVP, and 2, that he's out here stat patent just to get the MVP.
Right.
So I love JJ Redick.
If you ever watch it, what it says to me is the people who says that have not watched our games, and if they watched our games at all, they didn't watch them more than a couple times because the people who are chiming in, I can't imagine they ever really watched them because if they knew that, they would know better.
Yeah. And then they're teasing this once more to you. They just don't watch.
No, they don't.
And what it is, it's like they're showing that they don't watch. It's like it's going back years, and they're trying to catch up now in March of of the season to say like, oh, the Nuggets, here's their flaws. And then I heard an awful stat, probably by the dude you just mentioned, who I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah, we're done.
He said the Nuggets last, or he said Jokic's, not the Nuggets, Jokic's last 9 playoff games. He's 8-1, 1-8.
1-9 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, 1-8 in his last 9 games. But it's like,
why are you telling
way to
tales?
tease that out, and they're trying to show that that it's like some form of he just has no playoff success. I'm like, well, that's crazy because he's never, except for last season when he lost to the eventual NBA champion.
Yes. In
5 games, mind you.
Right. Without
himself.
Right. Without anyone named Jamal or MPJ and all that.
And then he still averaged 33 points and 10 assists.
Yeah.
Or 7 assists and 11 rebounds. Something on 57% shooting. So, very bad. He lost. He got swept by the Suns, and that's the one they always point to. You can't get swept. In the second round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When his best player, AG
wasn't there.
Love AG. But he didn't play that well that series.
No, he didn't.
He really didn't. He was saying, remember he called out people and then go out there and score 6 points?
Yeah.
Like, come on, AG. Then you've done a lot better now since.
Of course.
And then your second best player was Will Barton. If Will Barton's your second best player ever, you're in a bad spot. So they got swept, and Jokic still had a 30, 20, and 10 game.
To the notion that Aiden got Joker is ridiculous.
Oh, that is too.
Especially when Joker gave that man 30, 20, and 10.
Yeah.
So what it is like as we sit here,
it's losing effort because how you go 32 and 10 still lose? That's not Joker's fault.
Yeah, and it's not. And then the last game he got frustrated and thrown out of it.
Yeah,
so he only played like 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So my thing is this: to your point, they're showing their hand that they have never watched the Nuggets. Only us 3 people who listen to this, because Nuggets fans listen to this podcast. We know. We've watched. We can go back eras. We can go back to their first playoff run when they went 7 with against Pop and them. You know what I mean? And Derek White was giving us buckets.
Yeah.
But they somehow overcame that. Then they had an epic against Portland. The Nuggets have been scaling for years. They had a couple years of setback. And guess what? To those people who hate to hear it, Jokic deserved those 2 MVPs. And if he wins his 3rd, he deserved it. Not only did he deserve it, he earned it. And yes, I agree with the national media in this one piece. He does need to go to the NBA Finals or win a championship at some point in his career. I think, yes, he's now accomplished the individual high things. That high bar has been set. So the next bar obviously is that. And I think that's just fair. I'm not going to hold it against him like they do. But it is, if we're being completely honest, that is the fair next step.
But even to that point, KP's trying to act like why don't European players get pressure? Joker literally said at the beginning of the year, I want to be Tim Duncan of the Denver Nuggets.
Did.
He said, I can't be Tim Duncan without what?
It's the same answer I gave. They don't watch us. They don't follow us. They don't respect that we are in first place for the last, I don't know how long. I know somebody knows the days. But
since your birthday, December 19th.
December 19th, yes. Since December 19th, we've been in first place. And so they just now, for some reason, I don't know what turned the time. Maybe it was an all-star game and how that, they didn't want to take the flack, to figure out how to fix that. Or I don't know. It was something that turned their sights finally to the top of the Western Conference, and it may be because all these super teams now are getting together, players together. It's Mavericks. We're gonna go through next time. Mavericks got somebody. Suns got somebody. Maybe it's not. Lakers got better.
I think it. And then they're like, oh, who's at the top of the West? Oh, Denver. Then you start prying holes at Denver because you're like, they're not that great. They're this, but then on both sides of their mouth, they're like, they're super improved and they're deep. And they're well coached. So. You talk out of both sides of your mouth. That just kills me. But to your Tim Duncan point, if you are a Nuggets fan or a fan of this podcast, episode 1 was called Championship Season. And I remember back in November when you had this discussion, I believe it was you, Kyle, you said the exact same thing. That he wants to be, he said this preseason.
He did?
I mean like preseason, yes. Nikola Jokic said that he wants to be the Tim Duncan of the Nuggets.
And he said it was
that
business.
Comes with championships.
We talked about on many of our episodes how he said, I'm going to a business, I'm going to dress up like a business. His mindset has been from start. Championship
yes.
run.
So I guess that makes me, that like kind of soothes some of this about me, some of my possible anxiety while looking at this, because what it says to me is that their heads are in the right spot. There's a lot of noise. Even Yoke said something about it when he was asked about the 100s. They're not bad for snap pattern. So some of it's leaking in. They're hearing it.
I'm glad he's hearing it.
Even if it's stat padding and they're hearing it and it's become its motivation sent there because, our coach does love the media. He welcomes that stuff in positively and negatively. And hopefully the negative is used for motivation. So I think him saying that preseason, Jamal, I think him and MPJ have been so much more humbled. And I think great players do get humbled by injuries. Michael Jordan, no one ever talks about it. He broke his foot, or was it his ankle or his foot? I think he broke his foot his rookie year and missed a bunch of games. You know what I mean? And I think what happens is sometimes is when you realize that something's going to be taken away from you.
Yes.
You either have a crossroad. You cherish it.
You have respect for it even more. You see how important it is to your life. You see what
you think about your life without it. And MPJ, like MPJ has a very bad back, and it's been dealing with a lot of bad issues there for years now. And I think last year he only played 9 games. Like that mortality had to be staring him in the face. Sure. And the fact that he's like been humbled by that, and I think that is beautiful. So I think the media, yes, Nuggets Nation, they say a bunch of stupid stuff. They do, and it affects us three. It affects probably all the fans watching, but if it doesn't affect that team, that's all that matters, and that's who we care about.
And it's Al Davis with it. Just win, baby. Winning cures all. Yeah. So I do want to say shout out to JJ Redick because he held strong. Stephen A had some good points.
He did.
And Charles Barkley even said that's the team to beat in the West.
Shaq has
always. And he picked him to come out the West too.
So we'll from the national spotlight, we'll go to not Nuggets. We'll switch over. So I want to give a shout out to Damian Lillard, 71 points in regulation.
Very nice.
In regulation. No shout to that's not disrespect to Donovan Mitchell because he's a baller. No. I was just saying in regulation. I was saying also a note. I was no different. No. I think it's cool.
71 is 71.
71 is 71.
And his was
to get that in regulation.
His was close to the rim all the time. His was like deep from somewhere
from logo. He was shooting.
Yeah, he was shooting.
38 shot attempts is not stat padding, folks.
No, it's not. No. So yeah, Dame is Dame.
Yeah, just a shout out. I just thought he did incredibly well.
But I like it because Chauncey's his coach and he's from here. And that you got to find something to make you happy to play this game, 82 games over a period of time. If you don't really have, championship goal, not goals, they have goals for the championship a window or pathway. Opportunity or pathway, and it seems to be a hard one. So I'm glad he's taking some joy in that kind of thing.
Let me ask a quick question. It doesn't have to be too long, but you see 71 put up twice now this year. You've seen Luka go for 60. You've seen Joel Embiid put up huge games. I think there's been the most 30-point, 40-point games in NBA history. Mm-hmm. NBA history this year.
And even Tatum put up 50.
Exactly. So what do you think the talent is just at a all-time high? Do you think the game's changed?
People have learned how to shoot the 3-ball. Yeah. And they've learned how to shoot they practice it all the time. And I think they've learned how to shoot the 3-ball from anywhere on that court. They just practice. Steph started this. Yeah, Steph started it, and then he went to the ends of the earth shooting balls from everywhere. And people want to be like what they see. Yeah. So I think they practice it. I really do.
Speaking of Steph, Golden State won yesterday in a comeback fashion without him. They still won last night's game.
To beat the
Clippers. Uh-huh. The 0-4 Clippers.
Yeah, Poole returned. That was the first time we saw Poole like that this year, since the season.
He's had some moments, but that was a big one in a big time.
And a big time space. Yeah. I thought that looked like Poole we saw against us last year.
Yeah, he's a baller. There's no question about it.
Yeah, he had 34 points. He did great. And that was the sole reason they won.
Yeah, that's
the sole reason.
And then other news, Mavs 40-40 game from Kyrie and Luka.
Yeah, Luka's 42 and Kyrie 40. They beat the 76ers. So there's, it was all of these, what do they call them in the news world, headlines or, against each other there. And
I think what we saw in that game is you knew this game was always going to happen. The moment they made that trade, Luka and Kyrie, you knew there was going to be a time where they just both got buckets in the game. So this game is really that game. You got Kyrie going off, Luka getting buckets. When they play that way, they're hard to beat. But at the same time, that's not going to happen every single game.
No, it's not.
And not to mention just from a West component. They scored 33 points, but they allowed 126.
I know.
So those games, they're gonna have to play a little more defense in those games to continue to. And then they're really off the races. But yeah, I thought that was a really great game to see them kind of go off with each other.
No, I'm sure the 76ers didn't appreciate losing it like that because Mavericks were up and the 76ers got close or even maybe have gone up and then they just kept switching at the last, at the end. But Luka and Kyrie just took it over. And so are they figuring out how to play together? Probably. It took a little bit. But the defense is going to be lacking, and so that's the next thing they got to work on.
I'll stick in the West. KD made his debut in the Suns.
He did.
Should we pass, or is there just congratulations?
No, I want to say to Jalen Brunson, he won. We talked.
Oh, I was gonna give him a big shout out.
Yeah,
I want to give him a big shout out.
Won the Western Conference Player of the month of February. Well, in the East was Jalen Brunson, and off air, I wasn't 100% sure how that was going to work and how the Knicks would look with him, or I didn't think it moved the needle much.
Why?
I just didn't think it moved the needle much. I thought he was just kind of like second fiddle guy. They
paid him a lot of money not
to
be second.
They did, but that's the thing is the bar based off of the contract he signed was set high, and I think he's exceeded it. To be honest,
I think they'll do anything to get him going, and they got his friend from
Josh
where,
Hart, Villanova.
From Villanova. And now he's like a happy camper.
No, he's balling out. He's been balling out all season. I already apologized to my Knicks fans. I said, bro, I take back every bad word I've ever said about that dude.
NBA's better when the Knicks are good.
Oh no, Jalen Brunson is.
NBA's better.
NBA's been pretty good.
They are. The NBA is
long.
Yeah. It's fun to watch when the Guardians.
You know what it is? Yeah, exactly.
Because
one of my favorite series over the last couple of years was that Trae Young versus. Although the Knicks fans, you guys did some despicable things in those 5 games, but it was still just like. That energy when the Garden's moving and hustling and bustling, it's a beautiful sight.
And you're 100% Jalen Brunson's a dog, and I think they can win a series because they're going to be going against the Cavs.
I would love to see.
Jalen Brunson versus Mitchell is going to be a sight to see.
Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn ready for that one.
That'd be a good defense.
Unlike the West, the East is pretty locked. Those 4 or 5 teams are very locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the top 2 kind of vying.
Yeah, they're gonna move they're gonna move around. But I'm saying as far as
they're gonna play chum anyway.
Yeah,
because you can't tell me the Bucks or the Celtics are scared of the Heat, the Hawks, the Raptors, or the Wizards.
The Heat did go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's not the strongest.
This ain't the same Heat, bro. This ain't the same Heat.
They've had They're interesting. They have a great bubble year, then they have a bad year, then they have a great second year.
Okay, Kyle. Which one should the Heat want to play more? The Celtics or the Bucks?
No, that's tough.
Precisely.
Yeah,
that's tough. No, but back to KD.
Oh, okay. You did want to talk about it.
I did a little bit, just a little bit. I think it's going to be interesting with the Suns, with their starters. They're going to be good. That's going to be a beautiful
thing to watch.
But then, who comes off their bench because they gave him away for the trade? And then, who's going to play defense? Can he play something? I get it. He does. He's not. I'm not saying they don't. But not enough that when they get off the court, that it's going to, hold the score that they've ran up or whatever it is. It's going to be interesting to see how, now that he's back, what kind of success they have going forward in these last, 19, 20 games, 18 or whatever their number is, and see how they gel.
Yeah, I said it from day one. I think they're obviously those four across the board, one of the most talented 4 in the NBA. But they don't have, like you said, their bench and defense is just going to be the issue. Just flat out, that's going to be the issue. Next year, I think they're going to be a serious problem.
Because
then they can add to that. They can add depth to it.
And all that.
This year, I think they have some flaws that you can exploit and you can beat them. But next year, they're going to be tough to beat.
Even more reason that we got to get her done
this year.
Yeah, I think I was kind of worried on the quiet front. I was kind of like, what is it going to look like? How's it going to operate? I just don't think they have the scary depth. Hell, anything can happen in the playoffs. And anything can happen when you have the talent of Devin Booker, who can make a lot of shots and is an absolute bona fide scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you got KD, who's probably top 1 or 2 scorers of all time in the history of basketball.
Yeah.
So that just alone, that's firepower. You just talked about Luka and Kyrie going off. Then you add Chris Paul and Ayton. You got they have a delicate dance they can do. And I'm sure they can. I think that'd be an excellent series to watch. I
but
think
can
the
they
Nuggets
play at that level for 48 minutes because they don't have anyone coming in? And
the bench is going to be their big thing because their center, their backup center, Jokic is going to give that dude so many buckets. I don't even know the dude's name, but like I can just look at you and tell like you got no chance. And if Thomas Bryant plays significant minutes and he's getting better and that second unit starts to gel and you got Reggie coming in and you got Jeff Green giving big minutes and you got Bruce Brown playing the way he can, I think the Nuggets can do very well. That's the thing about this Nuggets team. I have all the faith in them if they play to their highest potential. If they don't, we'll see.
This is the closest team to 2023 that we've had we know they have that potential, and we've seen it a lot. Okay, because they're number one in the West. We've seen it, and so they may have a bad game like they did in Memphis, but they make up for it the next time, and they know it. So we'll see. It's just going to be. But one final thing before you leave the Suns. Bridges and Cam Johnson are gone, so that's good because Cam Johnson was just a Nuggets killer.
No, they were the bench.
Mikal Bridges was cold.
Oh,
and then Crowder's gone too, so they got rid of their defensive oomph.
Oh my goodness!
Because now I watched that game. I watched the one with the Hornets. It's KD and a bunch of when he ate the most on the court. And it was maybe because he's getting his legs back in, so obviously he's Kevin Durant, so I'm not going to say anything blasphemous.
Of course not.
But he was working himself back in with that second unit. And that second unit, when you watch it, it was like Cameron Payne, where's KD? Give it to KD. KD just goes to work. Yeah, that's literally that. And if you're Cameron Payne and a couple of the other guys, they said that center dude, I don't know. Mm-hmm. If that shouldn't scare really anyone.
Yeah, that's what's.
But those four should scare everyone.
Yeah, right. I understand. Yeah,
and that's the fun part about the Suns.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting final run here.
Cool. So. Let me get my Kyle Spiller on and jump straight to the 2 minutes remaining.
And by the way, I'm glad you mentioned Kyle. He did a great job at the All-Star game.
There you go.
It's a familiar voice that made us feel comfortable.
Yeah, so, actually, I'll let Christoph introduce the plot.
Okay, as we sit here on Friday, March the 3rd, a.k.a. here in Denver, 303 day. I just wanted to pose for our last 2 minutes remaining segment of this episode, pose this question to you, JJ and Dot. What is your favorite Denver sports moment over the last 30 years?
Can I go first? Because I don't want y'all to take
Ladies first. Absolutely. We're gentlemen around here.
I don't want y'all to take mine. And the reason why I can get to it so fast is because it's near term kind of thing. Near enough. 2020 bubble. And anytime the Nuggets can come back from 3-1, not once, but twice, that's my favorite. Come on. Yeah. I mean, it was a sight to behold. And when you think about how they did it, and then when you have Jamal and Donovan Mitchell going at it, and and all that came with it. I know people have their thoughts on the bubble and what it is and what it's not and all that. But for me, I value anytime you put people on the court and they play basketball in this championship situation with playoffs, it's serious. Whether you value it as serious as others, I don't. I value it as they're playing their hearts out. And they played their hearts out. Jamal was the dog we want him to come back to be.
Blue Mamba. The Blue Mamba.
The Blue Mamba. And Donovan has carried his on. We just talked about him doing 71. So that was meaningful. That was a stepping stone for their life right now. So to call it, to minimize it, I don't do that. But that 3-1 was wonderful.
And that was the first time in NBA history that it's been done twice.
Yeah, when they, we just roll past that. But we don't. So who's next?
Oh, you want me to go? I'd have to take us back to 2003 when Carmelo Anthony got drafted.
Oh, Carmelo. We almost got to the end.
I'm just joking.
Almost.
I will take, and this might just be recency bias too, but I'll take the Avs. The Avs winning. Okay. The Avs win the Stanley Cup last year.
Because we said sports.
Yeah.
We said
Denver sports.
I'll take the Avs winning the Stanley Cup last year because that was just cool. Yeah. Anytime you're in a championship city, it's so hard to win championship in any sport. So you see it once in your life, you're like, this is just cool. You know what I mean? Cool. Everybody doesn't get embarrassed like if you're from Kansas City or if you're from New Orleans. New England, you get a bunch of championships. But, you see a championship in Denver, it is a sight to see. And the Avs it was just fun to watch them.
Fun.
That whole thing was just fun because you kind of like the Nuggets.
Yeah.
They came around that same time, but 2018, 2019, they're like, it's time for us to win. And they kept losing in the playoffs, and they're like, is McKinnon who he is?
Yeah.
Is Landeskog really our captain?
Yeah.
They started coming hot takes like that,
yeah.
and they delivered, and they won, and they beat the best team, because the other team was the Lightning, and the Lightning had just won two championships too. Back-to-back. So we were really going against a team that had built a dynasty too. So it was cool to see. The parade was awesome. Cool. So I'll take that one.
That's a good one.
That's a good take.
And it makes me think of something I said to you, Jays. I think it was December 2021, and the Nuggets lost the game they should have won. I said, "Mom, it's all good. This year's the Avs. Next year's the Nuggets." I said that, and so far we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know me. I don't really play by the rules. So 30 years is a long time, specifically in Denver. That puts us back in 1993. There's so many good things that's happened. So things have come to mind, like the Broncos have not won 3 championships in that time frame.
3.
Yes.
And how many does Kansas City have?
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. One of those moments was John Elway, the helicopter.
Yeah.
You've had a 2,000-yard season in there.
Yes.
You had the Nuggets as an 8 seed. The Nuggets as an 8 seed.
Yes.
Knocked off the number 1 seed Supersonics. Coached by George Karl.
Yep.
There's just a lot. Obviously the Avs have won 3 Stanley Cups in that time period. I'm going to say my top 3, though. And one of them, I'm going to start with the one that you probably wouldn't expect me to say because I despise this team now. But the 2019, or was it 2019, I believe?
Colorado
The Rockies.
Yeah.
The Rockies in 2019, remember? And then they went to the play-in game?
And
they beat the Cubs at Wrigley?
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
That's the best.
They won 1-0, and they scored it early in the game, and they played excellent defense.
And I'm not from here, and I wonder how come they have so many Cub fans in Denver.
Yeah.
But it's
WGN. It's a national television.
That was what it was.
The Bronx and the Nugget, the Colorado, Denver, Front Range didn't have a baseball team, so they rooted for the Royals or the Cardinals or WGN, their super team and the Superstation.
Because they were
Chicago
all over
Cubs.
the place, so that was a good.
That's how that one comes through.
Yeah, perfect.
Another one I have to say is the 2015 Denver Broncos. That whole Super Bowl season was amazing.
Von Miller.
Von Miller game in the Super Bowl. Him sacking Brady in the AFC Championship game. That interception to seal the AFC Championship game. The game versus the Patriots in the snow when CJ ran down the sideline. That was beautiful. Pick sixes at Cleveland. That was a beautiful season.
Yeah.
And my number one moment, I have to do it. I truly have to do it. The bubble. It was beautiful. It was honestly my favorite. I go back and I'll watch Jamal do that spin move on Gobert, or people forget about this because it just gets lost in the shuffle that the dude Nikola Jokic hits him with a little shimmy move, hits the defensive player of the year that year, Rudy Gobert with the shimmy move, and hits the game winner on him in Game 7.
Yeah,
and that's when they came back from 3-1 the first time. So I was like, boom. And then, obviously, like you said,
out the Clippers,
17-2 versus the Clippers since that moment with Paul Millsap. When Paul Millsap saved their season.
They did. He did.
So,
thank you, Paul.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah. And those are a few of my favorite moments over the last 30 years here in Denver.
His story.
The fact you didn't say 2007 Rockies is interesting.
I told you I don't like that team. So the fact that I found one moment, be thankful.
Okay.
Be thankful.
I'll let you slide.
He did it for me.
I'll let you slide.
That's fine.
And
take it.
This is K-Dot from the Just Nuggets podcast.
And Just Janet.
And then we have Christoph.
Yeah, Christoph. Actually, also this, but as we sign off, I want to say shout out to the Colorado Crush because they got a ring in there too.
They did. There they go.
And the Mammoth.
Okay,
the Rapids. It's been a good 30 years in Denver. Yes.
There we go. So from Denver with love, it's the Just Nuggets podcast. My name is K-Dot Collie. You can find K-Dot Collie. You can find me on all of us on Just Nuggets podcast on TikTok. It's been a long day. On the Twitter channel, and we'll be thanking you all for another episode. Take care.
Thank you.
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets.